Hi, everyone, and welcome to one of the first episodes of Lost Through the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Josh Myota, and tonight's special guest is Hadassah. Hadassah has multiple UFO experiences and extraterrestrial experiences.
Hi, everybody. So for the last couple of years, especially, which I've been having experiences my whole life with different things, different spiritual things. But the ET slash whatever beings they are, I've been experiencing for the last 2+ years. It all started when I was down in Florida, and I was at a friend's house, and I noticed he was wearing some type of medallion. And I had seen it on him a couple of different times, and for whatever reason that night I felt compelled to touch it. And I asked him if he minded if I looked at it closer, and he said, "Go ahead." So I picked it up and I looked at all the symbolism and all the drawing on the talisman and what have you. And I asked him if he knew what everything meant, and he gave me the indication that, yeah, it was a seal of Solomon and he had bought it for protection for himself. I said, "Oh, okay." So anyway, I went home that night about 1 o'clock in the morning and laid down and was just relaxing and had my television on a music channel. And so the room was just dimly lit. And the feeling that you're not alone, sometimes that people get, well, I felt that way, and I was prompted to look down at the end of my bed, and there sat a being in a black robe. The whites of his eyes were super bright, whiter than any whites of eyes I've ever seen before. And it looked like a mask across the bridge of his nose and part of his face. I don't know for sure if it was a mask. I don't know if it was paint. I don't know what it was. But I could see his eyes very clearly. I could see his nose and his mouth. And he had nose and mouth and eyes that looked like ours. And then there was a being to the left of me where I was laying in the bed in front of my nightstand. The being was about 4 foot tall, had a long robe on as well, but had a staff in its right hand. And he didn't move, he didn't speak, he didn't turn his head, nothing. The being that was sitting at the end of my bed just stared at me, just constant staring at me. And I said, "Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here?" He didn't respond, nothing. He just sat and stared at me. And that went on for 2 or 3 minutes. And then he disappeared. So
Wow.
I thought, well, okay, I don't know who that is. So about 45 minutes went by, and I got that feeling again that I wasn't by myself. So I looked down at the end of the bed again, and there he sat again, the same being doing the same thing, just sitting there staring at me. And the same being was to my left with the staff in his hand. And I didn't raise up or anything to look at, the one on the left's face or anything like that. He just wasn't moving. He was just very stationary there, just holding the staff. And again, I asked that being, "Who are you? What do you want? Where are you from? What do you want from me?" And he didn't say anything. He just stared at me. And that went on for 3 or 4 minutes. And then he disappeared again. And it went from there. So after a couple of days, on the ceiling, I began to see different geometric patterns and shapes. They were in fuchsia pink all over the ceiling. And there was a humming sound as well. And that went on for several weeks. And after that, on the left of me, there was a big wall, blank wall, and uh, symbols and things began to appear on that wall, and they were in gold and fuchsia as well. And that took up the whole wall. And I assumed they were trying to tell me something, show me something, remind me of something. I don't know why else they would bring all those symbols to me, or what have
Right.
you.
And they only appeared
Um,
at night, right?
Only at night, like after 11, 12, 1 o'clock. Yeah, I could only see it then. I couldn't see it during the day. As long as it was daylight, I couldn't see any of that stuff. Could I feel
Wow.
it and hear the humming? Yes. But did I see anything? No. It was only when it got dark at night that I could see that stuff. And when the room was dim, you know, there could be a little light from the TV, not a program, or anything like that, but just like the grayness of a music channel where there's nothing on the screen.
Right. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. It just barely lights the room. And,
Hmm.
the symbols went on for probably a month and a half. And then it went from gold and fuchsia symbols to animals. They began to show me all kinds of animals. I mean, like in animals I've never seen before. I mean, some of them were animals that we know today, but some of the animals were like animals I've never seen before. So I don't know if this was from a long time ago, the ones that I didn't know, or what it was. Maybe from somewhere else. I don't know.
When you say animals that we know today, it's like current animals we have or like prehistoric. Did you see?
Well, the ones we see today, like elephants and tigers and panthers and
Okay.
bears and all that stuff, but that there were some that we don't have today that I've never seen before. Even in like stuff they show prehistoric, it wasn't that. It was other kinds of animals.
Could you describe it for us,
Well, some of
please?
them had, yeah, some of them had horns and some of them had a body like a horse, but a face like something else. I don't know that something else because I've never seen it before. It
Right.
had long, shaggy hair. It had long, shaggy hair, but it had horns, kind of like a goat that went back, and I thought, I don't even know what that is. um, then there were animals that just looked like they were mixes of things, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, that we don't know today. That horse had hoofs like a goat. Well, I say horse, but it had a body of a horse, but a head that looked shaggy and hornish. It had horns, but the
What you're
feet were
kind
like
of
a goat's feet.
describing remind me of like the like mountain goats with the big
Well,
spirally horns and then
do they have a body like a horse? As big
no.
as a horse?
But I think they're pretty big, but I know they're like shaggy.
Yeah. Well, only its neck and head were shaggy.
Oh,
The rest of
okay.
it was slick. The rest of it was slick like a horse. I mean,
Yeah, that's
exactly
something we
like a
definitely
horse
don't
body.
have. Wow.
Right.
Who
Right.
knows? There
And a
might be
lot of
some
stuff.
prehistoric
Right.
ice
Yeah.
age.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I just know the body looked exactly like a horse. The head looked like something, I don't know, shaggy and curled horns and feet like a goat.
Wow.
That's the one that stood out to me the most. But there were other things that looked mixed. Like you took something and mixed it with a bunch, other things. Um, I'm sure. Of course, I've heard, that they do genetic stuff. So, maybe
Yeah.
they mixed up a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it went from that. That went on for months, of them showing me those symbols and the animals. That went on nightly for like 2 or 3 months. And then I got the compulsion to go upstairs. I had bedrooms upstairs as well. And something was prompting me to go upstairs and sleep. So I did. So I went up into one of the bedrooms upstairs. I had a bedroom on the left of the stairs and the right of the stairs. And so I went into the one on the right of the stairs. And so I was in there maybe 2 nights, and it started up there. Um, but it started with the symbols on the ceiling, and then it went from that to portals opening. And I could see into the portals, and I saw people. I saw different kinds of beings, light beings, what we call ET
Wow.
grays, and they were inside the portal. Nobody came out at that point. It was just open, and I could see in it. I could see
Uh,
fields and different,
Did you
Go
ever
ahead,
try to
Josh.
put anything in the portal or step through
I
it
did
or
not. I
I don't
did
blame
not.
you.
I did not, because I didn't know what I was dealing with.
Right.
You know, I thought, well, of course it runs through your mind. What happens if I stick my hand in there? What if I don't get my hand back? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought I better not do that. I just watched, and that went on for several weeks of the portals opening on different areas. It started on the closet, okay, the closet door. It started there, and it went from there to different walls in that room. And when it moved from the closet door to the wall next to the door that goes out of the room, the first experience was grays came through. Tall ones. They were real fair complected, and they brought children. They brought 7 children with them. And they had some little grays with them too, but the big ones seemed to be the ones that were doing, doing everything. The little ones were just standing there. Yeah. And there were 7 kids standing there, and they looked like maybe ages from 2 to 3 to maybe 11 or 12, like sizes, if you can imagine the size of children. And they all just stood there together in a little group and looked at me, and one of the grays pointed at me, and the kids just continued to look at me, and of course, again, I tried to talk to them. I'm like, who are these kids? Are these my kids? Or, why are they here? And nobody spoke, or nobody, let me know anything.
That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're having all these experiences and nobody's telling you anything.
Did you feel anything when they were around, like, internally?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't. Mm-mm. I didn't. They looked like they were mixed. They looked like us mixed with something else. They didn't look just like us or just like them.
Like mixed with them or mixed with something else besides us?
Mixed with something else. Mixed with us and something else. They didn't look just like us. They didn't look just like them. They looked a mixture. Yeah.
So
but their eyes look like ours, just bigger.
How much bigger?
Maybe a size and a half bigger.
So like almost the size of like a horse eye?
Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah, probably. But they look just like ours as far as the pupil and the color and all that stuff. And they had a nose and a mouth, just like us. But their head and their hair was, a couple of them's hair was normal looking, like ours. And a couple of them's hair was kind of sparse. They just stood there and maybe for about 15 minutes, just standing there staring at me. All of them, even from the little ones. And then they stepped back into the portal and the portal shut. It went like this and just shut.
Wow. Did it emanate any color? Anything?
The portal?
Just like closing a door, yeah.
No, it just shut. It just okay, say it's open, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller till it was gone.
Gone. Almost like a black hole.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I guess. I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I can't tell you. All these are my first time, so.
Did they ever return?
No, the kids never came back. I've never seen them since. Mm-mm.
So you weren't under the impression that these were your children at all, either?
I didn't feel that, but that I don't think that necessarily means not. But I might have been just in shock.
Right.
Or surprised.
Right.
Curious. Who are you? Why are you here? That's always my first question: is who are you and why are you here? But I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any maternal instincts. I didn't feel anything. And I have 2 kids, so I know what that feels like.
Right.
Yeah.
You said they never returned, right?
I've never seen them again. Mm-mm.
Were they like clothed too?
Were they clothed?
Yes.
Yes, they had clothes on. Yes.
Could you describe what
they were all dressed. They just look like our clothes. They just look like normal kids' clothes. Like
blue jeans and t-shirts and.
Just like yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just regular little kid clothes. Yeah.
What about the bigger ones that weren't children?
Just same thing. They were all dressed similarly.
Wow.
just t-shirts and jeans or slacks or whatever, just little pants. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary.
Were they all male or female too, or were there a
Both,
variety with both?
both.
Um,
Yeah,
what did the females' hair look like?
4 girls and 3 boys.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the hair was like, it kind of looked like mine. I mean, but a little bit lighter. Kind of like strawberry looking, strawberry blonde. You know,
And yeah,
all of it looked. All of them had the same color hair.
wow. And that
Yeah,
strawberry blonde. It very
yeah.
well could have been your kids.
Could have been. Could have been. I don't know. I mean, like I said, nobody said anything. I mean, I didn't feel anything, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, I think I was kind of very surprised. You know, you don't expect that to be showing up through the wall. You know,
Right.
and then, gosh, there's so many experiences, Josh, and I'm just like, which one do I tell? You know, um,
Right.
um, there were multiple times that those portals opened. You know, and I could see in. And there was one time that a portal opened and there were kids. I could see kids in there and they were running around playing and they would come to the portal and they would look in there and look at me and laugh. I told someone else about this one time. They would come to the portal opening, look at me and laugh and run away. And another one would come, or 2 or 3 would come, look in and run off, kind of like they were looking at, you know, like a kid would go to the zoo or something, you know, and look at things. Or, you know, we look through a glass or at an aquarium or, you
You're
know, it
getting
was
ding
like they were
dong
doing
ditched from
that.
another dimension.
Something. I was like, okay. I mean, they're looking at me and they're laughing and smiling and stuff like that. And then they would run away. And
Wow.
others would come and do the same thing. And after about 10 minutes of that, it shut. And I thought, well, how are they opening these? You know what I mean? Like, I was curious,
Right.
how are they opening these? Just, you know.
Were them human looking children or?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They looked
Wow.
exactly human. They look exactly like kids here. Yeah, they
Wow.
didn't look mixed with anything. They just looked like us.
What did the background look like?
It was every time that a portal would open like that, except for the one where the Arcturians came through, and I could see into that ship. Except for that one, it always looked red in there, like there was a red haze that I had to look
Hmm.
through. Yeah, there was always a red haze in the back, like, so I don't know what I was looking through or what, I don't know. You know, if their lighting was red in there.
Right.
Um, and then the big portal opened one night, and those Arcturian beings came through, and they were super tall. I have 12-foot tall ceilings in that house I was in Florida, and I know they were probably 8 to 9 foot. Both of those blue beings, and they were dressed beautifully. I'm talking just stunning. The gowns that they had on, you know, were very ornate up here. You know, they were blue. The gowns were blue and had gold ornate design and a
Wow.
gold belt, and they went all the way to the floor.
Kind of reminds me of what
And
the Egyptians wore, what you're
I mean, it was
describing.
beautiful. It was beautiful, and they were beautiful too. They were very beautiful. And there were 2 guys that had spacesuits on, what I call spacesuits because they look like what I know as a spacesuit. And they were white. The spacesuit was white, and the helmet was like a bubble helmet, you know, clear.
Hmm.
And one of them had a gun of some kind. He had it strapped over his shoulder. And the other one, I could hear him. For whatever reason, I could hear him say, "You don't need that here. I got the feeling you don't need that here." And he went back into the portal and put it somewhere, I guess, and came back.
Hmm.
And then there was this female looking being that came with them. And the one, they were blonde. Both of those guys that had the spacesuits on were blonde, had short, kind of probably to almost shoulder length blonde hair and blue eyes. I could see that. And one of them took his helmet off and kissed that female being, just pecked her, and she went back into the portal. But when they first came out, those two blue Arcturian looking beings kneeled in front of my bed. They knelt down, got on one knee and knelt in front of my bed and bowed and stood back up.
So do you think the ones that were in spacesuits were like their guards protecting the Arcturians? Was that the impression you had, or?
It seemed, I don't know. I kind of got the impression these are somebody that maybe works with them. You know, maybe they travel with them. You know, I don't know what their purpose is or whatever.
I mean,
maybe guards, because he came with a gun. Yeah,
right.
he came with a gun. Yeah. So I'm assuming, probably protection. You know, if need be. But then the other one kind of gave him, you know, I got the feeling all over me, you don't need that here. So he went back and took it off. And then came back. And again, they just stood there staring at me. Now, the guys in the spacesuits were kind of moving around a little bit, walking around. But the two Arcturian-looking beings didn't. They just stood there looking at me. And they would look at each other and turn and look back at me. And here I am trying to talk to them. I tried to talk to them, you know, verbally. I tried to talk to them telepathically. And I couldn't get anything either way. You know.
Wow.
But yeah, I could see inside.
This gotta be so frustrating.
Yeah, really. I could see inside the craft. It was super bright in there. I'm talking like super bright, brighter than the sun. I mean, it was bright white in there. Yeah, everything looked white. And then there were rows and rows of beds with people in them. They kind of look like a hospital bed, but different from our hospital beds. But there were rows of them, you know. And then to the right of it, I saw a long table. And they were putting food on the table. And there were people that looked like you and I putting food on the table. Yeah. And there were kids running around playing. And it just looked huge in there. It looked huge. And then after about 15 minutes or so, they went back in. And again, the portal shut.
When you said it was bright, did you see any lights, or it was just solid light? Like, kind of, you know what I mean? Did you see any like bulbs or anything like we have?
I did not see any.
Solid light. Okay.
It was just solid white. Like the floor was white, the walls were white, everything was white. Right?
Wow. Did any symbols appear when they were there?
No.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
How were the people dressed in the beds, and the people serving the food dressed just like us, or jumpsuits?
The ones in the beds were covered with a blanket, so I couldn't see.
Okay.
They were all covered with a white blanket, so I couldn't see anything, you know, except for their head and neck, you know, and they looked like us. And the people putting food on the table, they had like long gown looking things on. They were white, like with a slack underneath or something, like just plain. They were just plain. And they had slits on the side. Just like you would imagine a linen, kind of like a linen shirt and pants or something like that. That's kind of the impression I got. Just very simple. Yeah, just very simple. And the kids too. The kids had that on too. Yeah, just like plain white linen looking. I don't know if they were linen. It's just what I'm assuming. It just looked like something like that.
Wow. Do you get the impression this was like a medical ship, or? That's what I'm kind of feeling.
Yeah, something like that. There were so many beds, Josh. It was crazy. I mean, I was like, wow, you know. And it was long, like it went on forever, you know. I couldn't even see the end of the rows of beds, you know. And there were like 3 rows, and they kept going. And I thought, wow, how many are there?
Wow.
You know?
Clearly, they wanted you to see that too. I wonder why.
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Did Turian beings ever return?
I have never seen them since. Not them.
Hmm.
Nope. I've seen other blue-looking beings, but not them.
What about the soldier type?
Have not seen them either. Have not seen them either. But I have had experiences with out here where I'm at now, the French doors turning into some kind of portal and beings coming through them, just stepping straight through the glass like it's not even there, you know.
Hmm.
And like I said, anytime that happens, there's always a red light that shows up, like a red misty light, and then I can see straight through it and see beings on the other side of it, and they come through that, what I'm looking at, glass, in wood. And I've seen beings that look like they were dressed like, the stormtroopers from Star Wars,
Yes.
like that. The outfits were very, very similar to that. And they had
Like
the gun strapped
the
in.
helmets.
Yes.
The helmets,
thing.
the white armor.
Yes. The whole thing. They have black and white armor. Yes. And then whatever gun they had strapped to them. And there were some that were normal size, 6, 7 foot tall. And then there were some that were super tall. And there were other beings when that was happening. They never came in. Those guys that were dressed like that never came through that portal, but they stood outside of it, right there on the other side, where I tell you I can see in. And other beings would come through. And one night that happened, but the beings that were dressed in the white weren't there. But I saw some reptilian-looking beings come in. And they were big. They were very big. And they had long, thick tails. And they come in and came through that portal. Some stood outside the portal, where I can see through. And some of them came in. And the door that goes outside the bedroom also turns into a portal sometimes. And they were going from that portal that came through the French doors, and they walked through the bedroom and went to that other door that turns into a portal and went through. So I don't know where they were going. There were two that came through, and they stood there. And I tried to talk to them, and they would turn and look at me and turn back around, and they would turn and look at me and turn back around. They saw me for sure. But they didn't talk to me. They didn't do anything.
They looked at you. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And two of them stood there. Those two were about 8 foot tall. Big, muscular, husky looking things,
Did they have weapons too, or?
Those two did not. Some of them that came through that door and went through that other door, yes. But the two that stood there, no.
Wow, it's interesting. I wonder where they were going.
I don't know. And when I was down there in Florida too, I'm able to take my hands and put them over my eyes like this and see things. And when I was down there in Florida a couple of times, I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I did that, and I was in a craft a couple different times. And one of those craft had a matri in it. The picture of what I've seen the matri look like. And
the little grays.
The matri, the supposedly mean ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they have
your typical
scowly,
gray.
They have a real scowly looking face, and they're supposed to be mean. I don't know. They're supposed to be not nice creatures. I don't know. That's just what you hear, But beside him, he had a reptilian looking being that looked like a mixture of us and a reptilian.
Hmm.
And he had on like armor, you know, like an armor breastplate. And I could see his legs. His legs were real kind of greenish gray and muscular. And he had a tail. But his face looked like a mixture of a reptilian and us. No hair. And he was standing beside it. That Matri was sitting in a chair. It looked like a chair, kind of like what you used to see Captain Kirk sit in. Like that type of chair. And it was that type of chair.
Like at
and
the
he was just
command
sitting
deck
there.
at the Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And inside that craft, it was red as well. The lighting was red. And I don't know how they saw me, or I don't know what I don't know. I just know that he saw me, because every time that they would see me, they would get up. He would get up out of that chair and he would come toward me like this. And when they got really, really close, I'd pull my hands away, because I don't know what you know what I mean.
Right.
I don't know if I was
blame you.
actually there. I don't know if I was actually there. I don't know if I was remote viewing. I don't know. I just know I can do it.
One thing, Hadassah, when you're there and when you were aboard that ship, could you hear anything?
No,
No audio.
no,
Okay.
nothing. I could see everything. I saw little grays in the back, like there was a window back there. And there was it looked like some type of control panel. And I saw him sitting in a chair back there, but that's it. And then the reptiloid looking thing, and that's it. Yeah. And that chair was sitting in the middle, it looked like it was sitting in the middle of the craft. And that happened to me a couple different times.
Them saying beings.
I'm sorry.
Them saying beings came a couple different. Interesting.
Yeah. And then one time I put my hands over my eyes and I saw inside of a craft, and there was a humongous serpent. I'm talking the biggest snake I've ever seen in my life. Like 8 foot tall snake, and had a head like a cobra. Yeah, big fanned head. And the colors were beautiful though. It was like a greenish yellow and purple and green, just odd colors. Very odd colors, and he had some kind of a gold medallion around his neck with a big circle. Yeah, some kind of a pendant of, I don't know. Wow. But he was huge. He was on a platform in there. And he turned and saw me, and again, here he comes.
Wow.
So I don't know if I'm hologramming into these things, or I don't know. I don't have a clue. I just know they see me when I do it.
Was there anybody else around that serpent thing?
Didn't see anybody else. Didn't see anybody else. There was a platform.
When you say that there was a platform, what was the other background in there? Was it in a ship? Was he in nature?
Yeah. No, it was in a ship.
Okay.
It was in a ship. Yeah. That I could see. But there was a platform he was up on, a step up, like a 2-foot step up.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He was beautiful.
Sounds terrifying though.
Well, honestly, it's kind of odd, Josh, but I've never really been afraid. Isn't that odd?
Yeah.
I'm more curious than anything. I'm interested and curious, why is this happening? What is this, And for the times that I've experienced there's been times that I experience wavelengths and stuff like that. No, those hurt. Those hurt when those show up. My body feels like I'm being shocked, and I get nauseous and cough and things like that.
How often do you feel the wavelengths?
I've been seeing them.
Oh, wow.
Gosh, yeah, I see them. They're blue. I have seen them in pink before, but the blue ones are the ones that hurt. Um, this has been going on the whole time, like since I've been in Alabama. Like when I don't pay them attention, when they're trying to get my attention at night, like say I'm tired or something, and I want to go to sleep, and I don't want to give them my attention or whatever, they do that. They put those wavelengths up and get my attention. And
Wow.
there's times when I've gotten up out of the bed when they do that and go into another room. And sometimes it'll follow me and sometimes it won't. But if I'll wait about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go back in the bedroom, it's usually over.
So it's almost like they just give up.
Yeah, I
I almost
guess.
wonder if there's certain rooms they can't get into in your house.
Well, sometimes it comes into that room because I've gone upstairs before in the house I'm staying in before now, and it started up there, and I saw some really weird things. I've seen them in 3 different rooms here. Those beings that here, that there's like a blue craft of the craft is not blue, but when it flies, it emits like a blue plasma. Look, I'm guessing at words here, okay? Because I don't have the language to give it. I'm just guessing.
When you see crafts, it's like you're seeing them through the portal, right?
No. Here, no.
Oh, like you're
Here, they're right
literally
here. They're right here in my face. Whatever they're flying in, I don't know if it's a Merkaba. I don't know what it is. But when it moves, it emits a blue light behind it. And these beings' eyes glow. They glow like a icy blue white, like a neon blue white. Their eyes glow always. And they're
wow.
here all the time. I just can't see them in the daytime. It's only when it starts to get dark that I can actually see them. And they look one way, and then I see them sometimes morph into something else with very sharp teeth. I sent you pictures. And if I don't pay them attention, they start doing things to get my attention. But they're here every single night.
They use them wavelengths that you're talking about, right?
Yes, I guess it's them because I see multiple beings here, that come through these portals and all that kind of stuff. And then sometime, like I told you, there's been a couple of times that a window would appear, okay? And then I see a screen come down. And I see 2 people sitting there that look like us. And they're looking at me. And then the screen goes back up, and the window disappears.
Wow.
So I have no idea. Welcome to my world.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the whole point of this. Hopefully somebody out there has similar experience.
Yeah. I hope to find somebody that knows something about this or can, share in it with me because I feel kind of alone out here with this.
Right. That being said, if you have a similar experience that you'd like to share, please email me at losttotherabbithole@gmail.com. It'd be great to find out if there's somebody out there experiencing the same stuff as Hadassah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have any
And
questions, Josh? Or?
you see them, how frequently, the ones with the teeth that change?
Every night. Every night.
Wow.
They're here every single night. And when I first moved back to Alabama from Florida, it took about 3 weeks. I had nothing going on. Like there was nothing. And then all of a sudden it started and it hasn't stopped since. It's kind of like they had to find me or something,
Right. It's the only reason I think
weeks,
there would be a pause, right? 3 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, there was nothing. I mean, nothing. No sounds, no nothing.
You probably don't have an implant or anything then if it took them that long to find you. They had to probably find you, look around.
I don't know. I don't know, but I was telling you the other night that right here in this spot in my head buzzes sometimes. Buzzes. Bzz, 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 just in that one spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe you do.
Huh?
I said, who knows? Then maybe you do, but
It
maybe it
just
doesn't
buzzes.
do.
Yeah. I don't notice anything else, just the buzzing.
Is
It's
that
not
when
all the
you?
time.
Does this ever occur when you see them, or
Oh, sometimes it's during the day. Yeah.
do you ever bring it up to like a medical physician at all?
No.
No, I mean the buzzing.
No.
No.
No. No. Everybody looks at me sideways, so I quit telling people.
Well, I didn't mean the whole experience. I just meant the whole buzzing in your
No.
skull.
No. 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 Mm-mm. Nope. Never said anything to my doctor because I'm sure he would say, "Well, let's do an MRI." I don't want to put myself in that radiation.
Okay, understandable. Have they ever showed you any symbols? Them beings.
Yeah. Yeah. The other night there was a rectangle, a black rectangle with a upside down triangle and two circles beside that, and then like equation signs on each side of that, and it was black.
How often did they show you that symbol?
That was the first time.
Okay.
The other night, that was the first time I've seen that. And then some blue-looking beings that I don't know what they were, who they were, have been coming and showing me. I don't know if you're familiar with the ENCO. It's like what's going to happen to the Earth. You know, like the dome opens. You know, the firmament opens at the top,
The atmosphere
and
or
it wasn't good what they showed me.
wow.
The yeah the gravity, what we call gravity, was gone, and everything began to move up and out of the firmament. Water, everything.
That's terrifying. How many times
Yeah,
are you shown this?
I saw it every night for 2 weeks, and then the other
And
night they came and showed me some other stuff about it.
do they ever say anything to you, or is there still no audio?
No audio, but they give me like I get impressions, you know, like feelings, like empathic feelings sometimes.
What do you feel?
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Like they were saying, you know, that this is another cataclysm. Okay, this isn't the first one, and they will rebuild it, but that this isn't the first one. But this is different than the last ones.
Do you think they're talking
But yeah,
about us? Do you think they're talking about one of the portals you're seeing?
it looked like here. It looked like here. It looked just like here. So unless there's another planet that looks exactly like here, you know, but they said here. I mean, I got the impression it was here. That's the feeling I get. They said, you know, I say, but I get feelings from them. I don't get words or telepathic anything. It's always like empathic feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like it was here that it's going to happen.
That's terrifying. Do you think there's any way to change it, or do you think they're here to warn us or to fix anything? Or
It was kind of a warning. Yeah, it's. I get the impression it's got to happen. You know, they give me the impression the Earth only lasts for so long, and then cataclysm of whatever kind comes, and then they recede. And
wow,
I get the impression too that the people that can raise their vibration high enough might be able to escape that. But low vibration people, I get the feeling they're not going to make it. I'm not saying that's going to happen, folks. I'm just saying that's my impression.
right? How high do your vibrations need to be? Where do us as Americans level in on that field?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm new to
Right.
all this, and I just know what they're showing me.
Do you have any theories yourself of what we can do to fix this?
Raise our vibration as high as we can. I mean, as high as we can. You have to be active in it, because we've become so complacent here. We've gotten so desensitized to so much. There's so much going
Yes.
on, and there's so much going on, and we're so desensitized. You know,
And
and
we're
you got to
more
snap out of it.
connected than ever before too. So it's all that negativity gets spread around so quick.
And there
Wow.
are beings that are feeding off our negativity. They're feeding off of it. So they create situations that bring forth sadness and despair and all that stuff because they feed off of that. So try not to go there. I know it's not possible all the time, but try not to live in that space.
Right? She's absolutely right, folks. It's better to be a better person and raise your vibrations. It's better for everybody.
I know many years ago, my vibration was a lot higher than it is now, and some people, I believe, purposely were brought into my life that brought it down. Um, and that's my fault for allowing that to be. um, Sometimes you think you can help certain people and you really can't.
I think that's all part of the human experience, though, is the
Yeah,
learning.
yeah,
And unfortunately, there's a lot of hard roads.
yeah, yeah. I know for a fact it brought my vibration down quite a bit. Even though it's still high right now, it's not as high as it once was. Because way back then, there were several times that several different people told me I was glowing at several encounters they had with me. They'd say, "Why are you glowing?" And I don't really have that now.
It's something I think we can all strive together as a human race is try to raise our vibrations, be nicer, and just be more tolerant to everybody.
Well, listen to your intuition. It's there for a reason.
Absolutely.
We sometimes second guess ourselves, and we miss opportunities, and we get ourselves into some messes because we didn't listen to that still small voice. And that voice is very gentle. That voice is very gentle and very quiet, but it's there.
Absolutely.
But there's so much more, that's gone on. I could sit here for hours and tell you.
That being said, you have so many experiences, like we discussed before we started recording, that we definitely do an episode 2. I think it's probably a good place to close. Just let everybody know if you had an experience. I know I said this earlier, like Hadassah, please reach out. She definitely wants to hear. I definitely want to hear. And to email me at lostthroughtherabbithole@gmail.com. Do you have any place people could reach out to you, or?
Yeah, I have an email. It would be cricket, CRICKET, the letter B, 33843 at gmail.com.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
It's been awesome having you on. Thank you, Hadassah, for being one of the first on Lost Through the Rabbit Hole. It's been awesome. We're going to have you back on and hear more about them ET experiences. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Josh.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Night.
Bye.